You can go on a TikTok or see a headline and you can see a baby being killed or a death toll of total amount of people. And those are objectively all bad things, right?
Yeah.
But there is nuance to those that people tend to ignore that are really important to establish. Oh, you got to break down what's going on with your outfit. Wait, before everything, you consent to being on camera.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Awesome. Daniel, do we have a camera check? Are we good? All right.
Okay.
What's your name?
My name is Mohammed.
Mohammed. I'm Moshe. We're both Mo.
Mo,
There
guys,
it
nice
is.
to meet you.
All right, trying to win $100?
Yes.
Let's run it. Okay, we'll dive straight into it.
Okay.
This one ties in directly actually into Islam. So there it is.
That's perfect.
First question.
Yeah.
Around 195 countries in the world. I say that because definitionally some countries are countries, not countries. Around that number. Out of them, how many are Muslim majority? And how many of them are Jewish majority?
Wow. You need to get like a ratio, right?
What?
Like a ratio, right?
Specific number on both.
Okay. So on the Muslim end, you know, we got a lot in the Middle East. We got some like Indonesia.
Shut up!
Okay, I'd probably say like Jewish majority. I think it would be a lot less. Yeah, I'm about to make myself look like a fool right now.
Nobody's gotten the answer yet, so you're good.
Okay, I say Jewish majority. I go on a number like 20.
Okay.
Muslim majority. And I have to go a bit higher than that. Oh wait, you mean like majority as in like in
Majority of the population being Muslim, majority of the population being Jewish.
I'm bugging. Okay, Jewish, it gotta be less than 5, I'll say. I say 4.
Okay.
Muslim majority. There's a lot of Muslim countries. Gotta go like 30, 40, I don't know.
Lock in on a number.
I'm gonna lock in 35 on the middle.
35?
Yeah.
So 4 and 35?
Yeah.
Okay. You weren't that far off. You got Muslim majority countries, you have 57. And Jewish majority countries, there's one, which is Israel. Okay. That's question number 1. We're out on the $100, but we can keep going on the questions.
100%.
Hell yeah. I know you've been waiting a while. Second question. Do you know what happened on October 7th in Israel?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So Hamas came into Israel. They murdered 1,200 people. They took over 250 hostages into Gaza. What was the age of the youngest hostage that Hamas took on that day?
People your patients. You are in way, so you don't have 1,000 issue basics.
I would just say, I don't know the answer, but I would say like 10 or something.
10. So the answer is 9 months old. They kidnapped the Bibas family, and they took Kfir and Ariel Bibas, and Kfir was 9 months old. It's a cute little ginger baby, and Ariel was 4 years old. What ended up happening with them was they were held for nearly 2 years, and everyone thought they were alive, or was hoping they were alive, and then Hamas returned them and their mother in caskets, essentially, and it turned out that they were killed very shortly after their kidnapping. And reason we're asking that question, it's like really important that people know their names and what happened to them. And yeah, we'll move on to the third one.
Yeah.
Do you know the terrorist organization, the Houthis? Have you ever heard of the Houthis?
Houthis in
Yemen.
Yemen. No.
No?
No.
So this one might be a tough question for you to answer. We'll ask it anyways. The Houthis have a flag. What does it say on their flag? Okay. Honestly, you could guess this one. You might hit it. It says a couple things, but...
I honestly wouldn't know.
Okay. For free education out here. It says, God is great.
Yeah.
Death to America.
Yeah.
Death to Israel.
Yeah.
Curse upon the Jews.
Yeah.
And victory to Islam. And the Houthis are an Iranian proxy, essentially. Iranian-backed terrorist organization. and they've kind of played a huge part in a huge role in this whole Israel-Palestine war that's going on. They've been launching a lot of rockets at Israel. Now, obviously, I'm sure you kind of picked up on a theme here on these questions. Obviously, these questions are all kind of leaning in a direction. The whole point of that is, frankly, to engage in dialogue. I'm from Israel. Daniel's also from Israel. We both live there.
So yeah.
And we love speaking to people with opposing viewpoints than ours and hearing their takes. I don't know where you stand with the whole, or if you have a stance on the whole Israel-Palestine thing.
Pro-Palestine.
Pro-Palestine?
Yeah.
Got you. I'm pro-Palestinian, and pro-Israel, which is usually a contrast that
You don't hear much.
you don't hear much, which is unfortunate. What I mean by that is I want the prosperity and the freedom and the success of the Palestinian people. The reason why I don't say I'm pro-Palestine is because I think the pro-Palestine movement, especially here in the States and in Europe, doesn't really reflect the interests of the Palestinian people, which I think is really unfortunate. And it's kind of become a lot more of a social movement here to then what actually, again, is in the best interest for the Palestinian people. But yeah, would love your take on what's going on. What do you think about Israel? What do you think about what's happening?
Okay, so my take is,
Yeah.
when you take into account a lot of the action done by Netanyahu, and
I can barely. Do you mind speaking? I can barely hear you. Yeah, sorry.
I get told I speak low. I have to speak up. But when you take into account a lot of the actions taken by Netanyahu, whether it's like the blockade, the refusal to allow aid to enter, it's like, I feel like it's just so apparent that what he's doing is completely against the international law. It's against like I feel like it's so easy to label it genocide, and to label it not. Would you label it as genocide?
No, not at all.
So why wouldn't you label it genocide?
So yeah, I mean, we can kind of like talk through the points here. We can start with the blockade thing. First, just to establish hopefully common ground, so we have some sort of base premise here. Are you pro Hamas?
No.
No, we condemn Hamas.
Fuck out of here.
Sorry, bro. We're just
I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm.
like I think like if you're
What I would say is definitely the actions taken by Hamas were
actually they didn't even
very harsh actions when you take into account Summer 7th, right? But their beingness, I'm not against that.
Their what?
Their beingness, like them being
Their existence?
Yes, their existence. I'm not against that.
Do you think they have the best interests of the Palestinian people in mind?
Yes.
Okay. So we disagree there for sure.
Can I clarify though?
Yeah.
When I say that their best interests, I wouldn't say that the actions they're taking are the best action for the Palestinian people, but to resist against a regime that is actively having people like an apartheid state.
Non-apartheid state.
I would say it is. But
Just objectively speaking, like not even there's no room for subjectivity in an apartheid state. Like just to clear the grounds there, I think it's important that we find some common ground and like get our definitions correct.
okay.
There are Muslims and Arabs in Israeli parliament. There are Muslim doctors. Okay, out of a population of 9 million people, there are 2 million Arabs in Israel. A lot of people don't know this. That have full equal rights to the Jews. Just by any definition, non-apartheid. It's one of the kind of claims that's been thrown against Israel.
Okay.
But by any definition, so far on all of our signs, yeah, it says Arabic and Hebrew.
Definitions I use.
For sure. Okay.
Okay. What was I saying again before I just stopped?
You're saying Hamas's actions against an apartheid state. I just wanted to make sure.
Oh, yeah, okay, their resistance
Yeah.
to what Israel is doing in Gaza, I feel like it's needed, it's necessary.
You view October 7th as a resistance?
Nah. October 7th, the killing people in Islam, that is not. That is it's un-Islamic. That's not. You know? But
That's in radical Islam.
huh?
That's radical Islam. Radical.
Yeah, the killing. Okay.
Yeah.
But as I was saying, like when you look at the whole, you just look at it from a bird's eye view, everything that's going on. For them to be a presence is necessary.
Okay. So I'll say a few things. One, I totally disagree that Hamas's best interest, Hamas has the Palestinians' best interest at heart. I think there are kind of numerous things, especially throughout this conflict, that have proven that. And this will also touch on the aid thing that you brought up, but also go a little bit deeper than that. One, just regarding the aid, Israel has let in since October 7th the equivalent of 3,000 calories per day per Palestinian since October 7th. The reason why Palestinians haven't received 3,000 calories per day, which by the way is over the amount of what a human needs, right? Per day you need like 2,000 calories. Israel's letting in even more than that in equivalent of food. The reason why Palestinians haven't received that, and this is according to the UN by the way, is 80% of the aid that has been let in into Gaza since October 7th has been stolen by Hamas, has been hijacked by Hamas. Hamas then what they do is they take the aid, they sell it back to the Palestinian people at 5 to 7 times the rate of what it actually costs, right? Palestinian people that are not necessarily, swimming in riches. And then they use that money to fund their terrorism against Israel, or I guess what you call resistance against Israel. So as far as why a blockade was put in place temporarily, by the way, like that happened for about 3 months, why Israel had to do that is because Israel has had 2 stated objectives since October 7th of goals of this war. One was Hamas needs to be eradicated, which is a non-negotiable for Israel, and I think is completely understandable on Israel's side. And 2 is to get the hostages home and bring the hostages back. And when you're letting in aid, and the Hamas is hijacking it and then using it to attack Israel, from Israel's perspective, you're put in a very, very shitty situation.
So, from Israel's perspective,
Yeah.
given that you said one of them is to return the hostages, what would you say about that one objective? I forgot what it's called, where the whole point of it is to say that no soldiers are to be captured by Hamas.
You speaking about the Hannibal directive?
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's a claim that's kind of been thrown around, I think misinterpreted. The Hannibal directive was implemented by Israel. And I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but the point of that is not kill all of the hostages. The point of that is we've seen this numerous times in Israel's history where people are taken hostage. Gilad Shalit is a great example, right? He was an Israeli soldier that was taken hostage a while back, and we end up releasing, I think it was 1,027 terrorists in exchange for Gilad Shalit. One of those terrorists ended up being Yahya Sinwar, who orchestrated October 7th and killed 1,200 of our people and took 250 of them hostage. Now, that does not mean that Israel's goal with the Hannibal directive is kill as many Israeli civilians as possible, which I think a lot of people have kind of interpreted that to be. And Israel tries to avoid, obviously, killing its own civilians. What happens is you're instructed as a soldier that if someone is being taken hostage, right, you should start spraying with bullets. And your intention is to kill the terrorist, but you cannot avoid, and a lot of times that is going to end up killing the civilian. And it's a really unfortunate situation that you're being put in as a soldier in Israel when you have terrorists running around, a lot of times in civilian clothing, taking your people hostage, because having a hostage puts a huge liability on your country, which we saw in this war. I mean, Israel has had to tiptoe around everything because there have been hostages in play. Israel would have a lot more freedom in dealing with Hamas infrastructure if the hostages were in a peace agreement.
And what do you consider dealing with her? Just constant bombing?
Hamas dealing with is eradicating, blowing up and destroying,
Okay, right.
for sure.
And now, when you do that to civilians every single day, you're bombing hospitals, you're bombing places where aid is supposed to be given to the Palestinians.
Yeah.
What's up with that?
So just common ground here before I dive into that.
Yeah.
Israel, nor myself, but I'll speak for myself now, wants any innocent Palestinian civilian to die. Absolute tragedy. Again.
I'll have to disagree with that.
What?
I'll have to disagree with that.
I'm speaking on my own opinion now. And I'll talk about, and I'll dive into why I know I have to back the facts up on Israel, but I'm just telling you my own opinion. it is an absolute tragedy when an innocent Palestinian dies. That being said, there are realities of war. And when you actually break down the numbers, you actually look at the statistics of this war, Israel has gone through incredible measures, completely unmatched to anything that's been done in modern warfare history to avoid Palestinian civilians dying. And that's not to say that a lot of Palestinian civilians have not died, but that is a really unfortunate tragedy of war. And when you're dealing with a terrorist organization and a governing body that uses its own civilians as propaganda pieces and shields in order to aid their own objective, which, by the way, in Hamas's charter, is to annihilate Israel and annihilate the Jews and eventually annihilate America too. This is Hamas's open statements in their charter.
And
It's their mission statement.
Israeli government, they're not terrorists, you say?
They're not what?
You wouldn't consider them terrorists?
Not at all, no.
I don't know.
If they were terrorists, they'd be like really, really bad ones, really failed ones. And if Hamas had the ability to do what Israel is capable of doing, Hamas would have pressed the button on Israel and annihilated the entirety of Israel a long time ago. The only reason they haven't is because Israel has actually invested a lot of its money in protecting its civilians, okay, and dealing with terror, while Hamas has completely abandoned its civilians, has taken billions of dollars of aid that's been funneled into Gaza. Instead of making the Palestinian people prosper, they've invested that in their actual goal, which is the annihilation of the Jews and annihilation of Israel. And they openly state that, by the way. And that's why they came in with GoPros on October 7th and documented it all, because they were proud of it.
You know,
Now, just to talk on the genocide and Israel bombing and the hospitals, because I think these are really important points.
but before you get to that,
Yeah.
I do want to say this conversation is more like pro-Israel, pro-Hamas, but really, I feel like we should focus more on actions.
100%.
Because I'm not defending Hamas.
Right.
It's the Israeli government that I'm really looking at critically.
Right, well, the actions of the Israeli government are actions that are dealing with Hamas.
Hamas, okay.
Right.
And if
So
we
those are
took-
the actions we're discussing.
Okay.
Feel me?
And
I agree with you. Like, at the end of the day, the governments are going to be the ones that are implementing the policies and whatnot. I happen to support the majority, if not all, of the policies that Israel has implemented since the beginning of this war, which is where we obviously disagree.
Can I ask you when this war began?
This specific war began on October 7th. The conflict between the people, a long, long time ago. It's been going on for a long time. And it's shown itself in numerous different faces since the creation of Israel, but frankly also a lot before, as far as peoples having issues with each other. But yes, this specific war started on October 7th. There was a ceasefire in place on October 6th, and it was violated by Hamas on October 7th.
So, speaking about violations of ceasefires, the recent actions done by Israel, what would be your take on that?
Oh, wait, you're going to have to be specific about the actions.
How, even when Trump signed that one ceasefire,
Yeah.
and then videos were posted days later where you see Israel again doing terrorist actions and bombing Gaza, violating the ceasefire.
Right, so what actually happened with the ceasefire,
Okay.
and this is all objective and factual,
Okay.
is one, the ceasefire agreement on Hamas's end
Yeah.
was that they were going to return all the hostages, both alive and dead, to Israel, and that was a non-negotiable, and that needs to happen. And Israel is going to withdraw to a small portion of Gaza. They're going to withdraw their troops and allow Palestinians to return. And frankly, allow Hamas to be active, by the way, also in the places that they withdraw from, and they wouldn't attack. Hamas, and also Hamas was not allowed to attack Israeli troops on the places that they withdrew to. What happened was, Hamas returned all the living hostages. They kept 15 bodies of dead hostages, okay? Did not return them, which was not part of the plan. So already the ceasefire is immediately broken. They also went in to where Israel withdrew to, which was behind the lines that were agreed on, and killed and murdered 2 Israeli soldiers. Okay, that's all, again, where they violated the ceasefire. Once both those things happened, Israel said, this ceasefire is completely violated. This is not what we agreed to, and started bombing Gaza again.
Innocent civilians again.
Again, let's talk about how the conflation between innocent civilians and Hamas and where the civilians end up suffering and who is to blame there. You brought up the hospitals and you brought up the schools.
And
Yeah.
if you look at the percentages, right, of children dying, it's through the roof.
Yeah, I believe Gaza itself is like 50% under 18. Is that true?
I don't know the number.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, there are a lot of kids in Gaza.
So, red flag again, Israel.
Horrible. Horrible that kids are dying. Absolutely
But
horrible.
it's because it's like, oh, it's war, though, so it's understandable. Is that what you said?
It's not, again, the blanket tragedy of kids dying is horrible. I think it's a very unfair statement to say kids are dying, therefore this and therefore the person that they died
Killing?
that yes, frankly yes. When Hamas hides under schools, under hospitals, and this is all UN documented, by the way, not IDF sources. They use hospitals as storage places for their armor. Okay, they build tunnels under schools and mosques. Okay, with fully knowing and doing this strategically on their end, because again, they care more about Israel looking bad and knowing that Israel is going to have to bend sideways in order to annihilate them, and it's going to end up in killing Palestinian civilians and making Israel look really bad. And that's why they strategically use these places as hideout places for their terrorism. It puts Israel in an impossible situation because Israel's goal needs to be to eradicate Hamas. And how do you do that when Hamas is using its own civilians as human shields? Now, do you blame Israel for that or do you blame Hamas?
Now, when we look at the terrorism, if you're using that word, right? Terrorism done by the Israeli government, right?
Name that.
You look at the many actions. Now, for example, there was this article I read. It was not. I think it was a video taken from an article.
Okay.
Where there was a lot of mention of like them using this sort of like gas that I forgot what exactly. I would have came more prepared if I know this was a conversation.
For sure.
But there was using. There was like I think there's a testing in the air and it was really like it was evidence of them using some sort of toxin in the air where you see a lot of people who are not a part of the war, innocent civilians, impacted them. And then
Where and what? I really have no idea what you're referring to.
search it up.
Yeah, please.
Okay. I don't know, we use our phones. But this was like, I remember seeing this a while back.
Was this gas that was pumped into tunnels?
I believe so.
Because if it was pumped into tunnels without even researching, I can...
Human rights organizations have extensively documented Israelis' repeated use of white phosphorus munitions in densely populated civilian areas in Gaza and southern Lebanon.
Who is that by? What's the source?
The source is... You're going to label it unreliable, but Al Jazeera.
I would label that unreliable, correct?
Right?
Yeah.
Of course, because it's like, it's beneficial to your narrative.
No, I just think, can you agree that Al Jazeera is extremely biased, leaning one way?
Can we agree that every news outlet is in the States is primarily biased towards the Israeli government?
There are a lot of news outlets that are biased, yes, but saying Al Jazeera has been a credible source throughout this war. Al Jazeera has been exposed for so many lies throughout this war. They have like the one where their funding comes from is like very evident as to where they're going to lean and what they're going to say. But yes, Al Jazeera has been exposed time and time again. It's a terrorist news channel.
I just don't understand how can you really defend Israel? Like, I feel like there's so many like things, like actions that Netanyahu does that is just completely against international law, like consistent. And it's like if I was to research, like I want to like, but I'm gonna just stop and just go like, cut the flow to convo. But literally every action he does is just like against international law. It's like it's inhumane. He's not even a real like evil at his finest. Not gonna lie.
So I can understand because again, like you can go on a TikTok or see a headline, and you can see a baby being killed. Right, or a building in rubble, or a death toll of total amount of people, and those are objectively all bad things, right?
Yeah.
But there is nuance to those that people tend to ignore, that are really important to establish. Like 67,000 Palestinians in total have been killed. 25,000 of those are Hamas terrorists. that puts the civilian to combatant ratio at between 1:1 to 1:2. That is the best civilian to combatant ratio in modern warfare history. Okay, if this was a genocide, it's a really, really failed one. The Gazan population has grown, not diminished, unlike any other genocide out there. Okay, it is a lot of people dying, and that's really unfortunate. It's also a really unfortunate circumstance of war, and you also need to look at why they're dying and what the people essentially representing them, which is Hamas, what is their goal, how they're obtaining that goal, and how are they fighting this war. And then you have to look at Israel's goals and objectives and what they're supposed to do in order to protect their own people and the measures they've taken in order to protect their own people, and not only protect their own people, but to minimize Palestinian deaths, civilian death as much as possible. And that doesn't mean that a lot of Palestinians aren't dying.
Doing that.
But it's completely ignoring the nuance of every situation and just saying blanket statements, and like that's not going to get us anywhere. You need to find the source of the issue and annihilate it.
Nah, the Israeli government, they're not doing like everything that you claim. Perfect. What you claim is like you point fingers at Hamas, right?
100%.
When the Israeli government is like they're ethnically cleansing, and you look at the hunger that's going on in Palestine, and you're gonna claim it's Hamas. It's Hamas. Every time it's Hamas, but the Israeli government is
I mean, just a reality of the situation is, I mean, again, even according to the UN, like you talk about the hunger, 80% of the aid led into Gaza was hijacked by Hamas or armed
Okay, now I'm
forces.
losing you, sir.
Please. But just like, what position does that put Israel in?
Cause like you have to when you look at the UN votes, U.S. Israel, the two countries that's always against it's not just them two obviously, but like there's so many like laws that are going, not laws, but whenever there's like a big decision to make, U.S. Israel, the only two countries, like it'd be them mainly that takes away from what actually has to happen. It is like
What do you mean? I kind of lost you on that one.
Okay.
I like your hat, by the way. It's cool.
Appreciate it. I actually got it from some guy over there.
Oh yeah.
He's here.
Cool ass. Cool ass.
Yeah. Like it's like this. If I write I'm gonna search up lists of international law violations. One, the occupation is illegal. The occupation is easily illegal.
Are you talking about Judea and Samaria, the West Bank?
Yeah.
Right. The West Bank is very murky waters. I wish that Israel can just let the West Bank and the Palestinians just live in the West Bank and everything would be peaceful and dandy. Unfortunately, you're dealing with a situation where the West Bank has been used as a hotbed for terrorism. Hamas is present in the West Bank. There's consistent terrorism coming out of the West Bank, coming into Israel. Jenin, Ramallah, great examples are you have literally like militants walking through the streets, openly calling for the death of Israel. It's right in the middle of Israel and puts Israel at a huge security risk, which forces Israel to put up checkpoints, and then they're called illegal checkpoints. But the reality is there are terrorists that are coming in and they commit terrorist attacks on a weekly basis in Israel.
And these places that they're forced to put up checkpoints at, right?
Yeah.
The places that are owned by the Palestinian people was the government then comes in, and what they do is they remove they take away the land from the Palestinian people and say, hey, move, go out. I'm saying it's very not. I'm just cold right now. My bad.
I'm cold too. I'm so cold.
Nah, you've been here for a long time.
I'm so cold,
too.
man.
But when you look at, like, every single time is move back. You doing this land, we're gonna take the land and now you gotta move back again. Where does it end? It's like that. It's usually an ethnic cleansing. Like they're if you don't move back, you get bombed. That's
ethnic cleansing. I think is a very intense claim to claim against Israel when you have 2 million Arabs living in Israel out of a 9 million people population. When there are Muslims in the Israeli parliament, literally like Muslims in the Israeli parliament, maybe a Muslim majority country that has Jews in their own parliament or government, like the ethnic cleansing, the apartheid claims, like if that was the goal, Israel is doing a really, really shitty job. Like,
not really.
There's 20% of the Israeli population is Arab.
Nah, it's not. They doing it.
Like, talk to me about ethnic cleansing. Like, that's not ethnic cleansing. With equal rights, by the way. Arabs with equal rights. I'm not even talking about, like, the ones in the West Bank. I'm talking Israeli civilians. There's 2 million Arabs.
That
We have Muslims
See,
in
I
our
would-
parliament.
never heard of that. You know.
I know a lot of people don't, but like those claims are like, those are objective. I have neighbors. I live in Tel Aviv, right?
Yeah.
Like, Tel Aviv. There's a place called Jaffa. Jaffa's right there in Tel Aviv, right? Literally, my neighbors are Muslim Arabs.
But that doesn't.
I
take
go
away
and get
from
my
the fact
bread.
that it's still an ethnic cleansing, though. But in Gaza is they're
In Gaza,
literally.
why? Okay, if we wanted to ethnically cleanse, then why? Which Israel, by the way, has never claimed. There have been extreme voices in Israel that have claimed that we want to ethnically cleanse. And frankly, I think it's a great talking point for Israel. Beautiful thing about Israel is that it's a democracy, and extreme voices have a place to speak. Okay, it doesn't mean that it's the majority what people agree with. There's going to be extremes on all ends. Okay, everywhere you go, and usually, frankly, in a lot of Muslim majority countries, extreme voices are silenced, or voices that go against the general population are silenced. Right? In Israel, they're given a platform to speak. It's just not what's implemented in actual practicality because nobody agrees with it. Right? So you have a couple of those in parliament. You have the Ben Gvirs and the Smotriches that are going out there and they're saying, we need to ethnically cleanse the Palestinians. And then everyone tells them, thanks for your opinion, no, and we don't. But if Israel's goal was to ethnically cleanse, then they wouldn't let our country have the ethnicity that they're trying to ethnically cleanse flourish in our own country. That wouldn't make any sense.
What they're doing
Yeah.
in the West Bank, in Gaza, it's you may have like cases like according to this is I don't know the facts on that, so
Yeah.
I'm not claiming it as facts. When you say there's Muslims in the parliament, do not take away from the fact that day after day you get new. It's like it's sad because like people really get desensitized to it. We get new news every other day that Israel's done this, they done that. They done this war crime. You know, like every single action they do is like a war crime or a war crime. And I'm not trying to like, of course, some acts like you have a few actions that aren't, but just looking at it from a external lens, like war crimes are done by Israel, and I genuinely don't understand how one could stand behind that. And you're like, okay, yeah, it has to happen. They like, I genuinely can't understand.
I think it would be over within 24 hours if Hamas put down their weapons and gave us our hostages back. This wouldn't have happened. Like, again, there was a ceasefire in place. You don't want to talk about war crimes, like, they weren't happening.
But what they're doing though, it's not like it didn't start October 7th. There's been multiple cases of Israel just doing straight like bad, like very terrible things.
Gaza?
To Palestinians in general. Like a lot of like what you were saying now, oh, this war started October 7th. There was a war prisoner that was released and he was in captivity for way longer than October 7th. By the Israeli government.
A war prisoner, like Israel doesn't go in and just take random hostages.
But
Hamas did. We arrest people for committing crimes, like any country does. And then unfortunately those people are labeled somehow as, like, for example, when there was the recent hostage exchange, that was framed by Al Jazeera. I was watching the hostage exchange on Al Jazeera's channel because I wanted to see how they were reporting on it. And they called our hostages prisoners.
Okay. Do you really how to go this route?
What?
Because you look at the news here,
Yeah.
every single person that was released by Hamas. When you look here, they were like the vocabulary that they use are so like it's terrible because it frames it in a way where now every single hostage that's really had, they were just war. I forgot what's the exact terminology they use, but it's very.
They were terrorists.
They call them like these words like
they were
terrorists. And then
they were.
The Israeli folk are terrorists. Those that like that
were taken hostage.
The people that they take in hostage, right? If you should label them terrorists, it would then be considered
Wait,
crazy.
Remember the second question I asked you when we sat down?
Yeah.
They took a 9-month-old baby hostage, his 4-year-old brother hostage.
Okay.
Look me in the eyes and tell me those are
say that up.
terrorists.
Nah,
The majority
what
of the
I'm saying
hostages that were
is-
taken were not soldiers. We're not
You
soldiers.
talking about by Hamas?
Yeah, we're not soldiers. These were people, their main target, my roommate, by the way, was killed at this place, was murdered. It's why I've skinned in the game, why I'm doing this, why I'm doing it right now. Okay, his name was David, not a soldier, 25-year-old dancing at a party. Their main target there was going into homes, going to a music festival, not military bases, okay, into homes and music festivals, okay? And the majority of the hostages were not soldiers. Some of them were soldiers, but that was not, they weren't differentiating. They just took a bunch of people hostage. The people that Israel had in their captivity were people that were convicted of crimes.
By
And this
the Israeli
includes, this
government,
ranges,
right?
and this ranges from throwing stones at cars, to stabbing people, to shooting people, like actual acts of terror. So yes, I have no issue calling the Israeli prisoners terrorists and the Hamas hostages, because there's
Now,
a clear difference.
In those hostages, the IDF soldiers, right?
Yeah,
That they took hostage,
yeah,
terrorists.
no.
They're terrorists. They what the action that
The
they're doing
IDF is
against
not a
Gaza,
terrorist organization.
It is.
It's an army.
But nah, that's not a the name is like Israeli defense something.
Yeah.
They're not defensive.
Israel's
it's
never launched an offensive
offensive.
war in its life, in its history.
Oh my God. you
Fact.
serious?
No, fact. Do your research on every war, every single war. Israel's never launched an
Israeli
offensive
have
war.
never launched an
Google it.
offensive attack.
Ask ChatGPT right now, please. I
My-
insist. I insist you do.
chat?
Please.
Okay, let's.
Ask Chat. Has Israel
No,
ever
chat, I know facts. I know the facts about it. I'm not even going to ask chat, honestly.
For sure. Yeah, whatever. Like I don't want to clip you on that.
Israeli
But
never.
Israel's never launched an offensive war, and never in its history. And it's an establishment, bro. You know how Israel was established in 1948? There was a UN partition plan, right? It was supposed to be split up, you know. Frankly, there was going to be a lot bigger piece of land given to the Arabs, okay? But what happened is, 1948, UN partition plan, we all could have lived in peace, it all could have been dandy, okay? The Arab nations around us did not like that, did not want to live side by side with Israel, didn't want that. 5 Arab nations ganged up, invaded Israel, attacked. Israel, being the very resilient people that we were, okay, fresh out the Holocaust, ended up gaining more, won the war, and got more land because of that war that we were attacked by. Surrounded by 5 countries we should not have survived. By a miracle to God, frankly, no other way to explain it. By a miracle, we won that war, okay, survived, and ended up getting more land, all right? Which ended up, by the way, we ended up giving back the Sinai Peninsula, right? Which we got back on a defensive war. We
Wait,
gave
yeah,
back
well,
Gaza,
what
which
more
we got in
term?
defensive war.
You
Like,
said, oh, God, miracle?
frankly, I don't even know. I don't want to
You're
dive
dumb.
into the God. I don't know.
Nah, I'm not even diving
Yeah,
into that.
I
It's like
don't know
the,
about that one, but-
literally the U.S. government and how Israeli folk within the U.S.
In 1948,
not
there
that.
was a lot less American Israel support
cold.
than there was now. Yeah, it's so cold, I know. But yeah, 1948 was like very good strategy, frankly, on the Israeli military. Israel's kind of done that a lot, and that's not only by American funding. Like even the Israeli military comes into America and trains a lot of the U.S. military, and vice versa. By the way, like Israel's just had very good military strategy. I wouldn't give all of their wins to America funding them. It's just Israel does a great job, but
Well,
yes, they were attacked by 5 powerful Arab nations surrounding them as a new country, and won the war. And that's not because America just funded them with bombs.
but what brought them to Palestine?
But still,
Jews were always in Palestine,
Invited.
alongside with Arabs and Christians. By the way,
they were
Palestine was never
there, though.
Palestine. Palestine was never established as a state. Okay, the closest thing to the establishment of a Palestinian state was in 2012 when UN granted it observer status, which the only other place that's ever been granted that sort of status was invented for the Vatican. So it's the Vatican and Palestine, but yes, Palestine never objectively existed as a state. It was called the British Mandated Palestine, and the word Palestine even came from Plishtim. The Romans, okay, when they conquered that territory, named it Palestine in order to reference the Plishtim, which was like the arch nemesis of the Jews back in the day, to mock the Jews. That's where the name came from. But Palestine never existed as a state. There was nobody. It was a lot of people's state.
People were there.
When you're talking about who's indigenous to the land, the Jews go back the furthest. The Jews are indigenous to Judea. That's why the Jews are called Jews, because Judea, right? And that essentially now is the land of Israel. Israel would have no problem sharing this land with a lot of these Palestinians. Unfortunately, what happens is one side wants to share it and one side wants it all to themselves. And that's what happened in 1948.
Israel
That's
wants
clear
to
proof
share,
of that.
you said?
1948 is the perfect proof of that. And like we could keep cutting off things, and like I'm down to go as far back as you want to go. But yes, there has never been let's share this equally without terrorism on the other side.
You can't share when you're constantly pushing people down south.
We've
This is what
constantly
Israel's
given
constantly
back
doing.
land that we've gotten on
On
defensive wars. On defensive wars. We obviously disagree on a lot of stuff.
That's a fact.
And I really,
I wish if I knew what this conversation was gonna be, I thought it was gonna be like lights and like sunshine, like
for
just some
sure,
regular-
no, we made
But-
you into this one, 100%. That was the point.
Yeah. Wish I was more prepared though. I ain't gonna lie.
Listen, you're good. I think just to establish some common ground, and by the way, I got nothing against you. I want you to know this is all just dialogue, and like, I get we have different opinions, and the whole reason we do this is because our whole basis is confront ideas and not people. And I think, especially in America, based on your opinion, like people have become so polarized that when you disagree with someone, you judge the person, you cancel out the person, you never end up speaking to them, right? And then I think we actually agree on our end goal with a lot of this stuff. For example, I really want the freedom of the Palestinian people. You really want the freedom of the Palestinian people. We disagree on the process. And the only way we get to resolution is through dialogue. And maybe we didn't get to resolution today, but just to end things on kind of a positive note, can we agree common ground? Terrorism and radicalism is bad, and no innocent lives should be lost, and that's a tragedy.
No innocent lives should be lost. I agree with that.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah, I really appreciate you sitting down. I appreciate this not getting hostile.
Yeah.